Alrighty, y'alls. In advance, sorry for my throat. I'm probably gonna be clearing my throat a lot. But we're here. It's Cinco de Mayo when I'm recording this. Just kind of like a daily upload. Not sure why it's raining. Our weather Wednesday and Thursday, according to the apps, couldn't decide if it was going to rain Wednesday or Thursday. It didn't say a dang thing about it raining Friday, but it ended up raining early this morning, Friday, Cinco de Mayo morning. I was not pleased, but I'm here at the beach, and I'm not, pleased that it's a rainy day, but, the waves are, dang man, these sets are coming in quick, and the tide's out pretty far, like it's in, I don't know why it's in so far, and the waves are breaking pretty hard at the shore, pretty much. It's really weird. I don't know. I guess you guys know I come to the beach enough to kind of, I kind of understand like how it usually looks like on a normal day, but I am here a little bit earlier. It's a little bit before 10 a.m. I started getting ready to come over here at like 9:30 a.m. and it's like I got here at like 10:45, so the waves are a little bigger than usual because I am usually here at noon, but dude, they look like they're some of these waves are breaking at like almost 5 feet, man. Like it's pretty impressive. A lot of the surfers are kind of leaving right about now, but some of them are still coming in. So yeah, stormy beach day. There's still storm clouds on the horizon, but it looks beautiful. It's nice and blue and bright. There's some ships out there, which is crazy looking. It's very clear. The water even looks a little clear. I'm not even at the cove area, and it looks, a lot nicer than what it usually looks like. But I don't know. It's beautiful out. I just, Southern California people, most of us, maybe not most of us, but myself in particular, I know we need the rain. I know it's important for life and growth and everything, to sustain us, but also, I prefer the weather to be nice and good and sunny. But one advantage is with podcasting, at least I can keep the windows closed because it's not too hot out. So that's kind of a nice little touch. I do like the windows open, but there's a lot of people here this Friday morning. So yeah. Oh man, I don't even know. Like I forgot up until last night pretty much that I was trying to do this month of, this project of, tracking my internet usage and things like that. I think for the past few days I kind of got off track with it. I didn't really even remember until last night pretty much, when I kind of sat down, took a moment to do more reflecting and realized, hey, wasn't I in the middle of doing something? Something a little specific, because I usually do pick something to do during the month, something of a challenge. So I kind of forgot about my challenge and got pretty warped into this stress about this practice exam and just some other stuff just about just generally having this weird time focusing um on you know just positivity. It's been kind of hard to see things in a perspective, like like I still notice. Yeah, I keep talking about it, but it's just because if I'm doing a daily update, I can't really avoid it. But I do kind of notice. My mind is pretty negative, and it does take a bit of a toll. My mind is pretty negative, and when I do attempt to kind of shift my focus, it is a difficult process. And so that kind of thing is a little annoying for me. And I did work on it last night more. But it seems like for me, it's something that's easier to work on when I have like cannabis edibles in my system. And outside of that, I feel like it can be a little hard to really actively like deeply work on it. And so, I mean, if that's what I have to do, I'm not like complaining or anything. Like, I have nothing against edibles and like timing them in a way where it's like, it's not interfering with any other important stuff that I have to get done, like any other productive things. And it's part of my self care and relaxation routine. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess maybe there is a bit of a stigma about, doing things while under the influence of almost anything. But when I think about it, I'm like, okay, like, what would be the difference if I went to a doctor and got antidepressants or something like that, or, something for anxiety? It's like, those are still medications, and they're chemical medications usually. And I feel like, there's stuff like serotonin, there's stuff like, for sleep, melatonin. There's other stuff like CBD, like things that aren't psychoactive necessarily. Um, they can still, aid in, focusing and kind of getting the mind to be kind of more like in this forced, energetic and kind of more euphoric state. Somewhat so, like not, I wouldn't call it like euphoria, but it's like maybe more of a neutral tone to things. Um, and caffeine and things like that. Like I had a little coffee this morning, but then I had just a little bit of yerba mate, and I was like, wow, like I noticed the difference. I haven't had yerba mate in a while, and I might switch back to it because it felt better. It felt good. The coffee isn't really kind of like giving me like a positive mood as much lately, and I feel like maybe it's too low of caffeine, or maybe it's you know I don't know, maybe the receptors it's hitting, or maybe the supplements in it just aren't as effective. Like I wouldn't say I've built a tolerance to it necessarily, because I mean maybe to coffee specifically, or maybe like the lion's mane mushrooms or chaga that's in that coffee. I don't really know. Um, I'd actually like to study that a little bit more. I'm very interested to study more about brain receptors with CBD and THC and CBN and melatonin and serotonin and caffeine of all kinds. I mean, the caffeine that I usually consume is usually in the form of coffee, yerba mate tea, or C4 pre-workout. That's probably the main. And then I would say sometimes I'll have caffeinated like green tea or something like that. But usually, if it's something around the house, it's going to be one of those. And because that's what I tend to purchase from stores. So I'm a little interested in kind of that aspect of things because I do notice my energy, my focus, my mood is a little bit enhanced, and I get uh, to feel kind of more what I prefer to feel uh, sometimes versus if I have none of this stuff in my system. So a lot of it is it's pretty good. It's pretty powerful. I pretty much enjoy it all. I like kind of how I feel, and versus with nothing in my system, I feel like I'm not as functional. Like I'm very easily overwhelmed, very low energy, motivation is just not there. I can force it. I can force it. Like I've gone some days, like Wednesday, I went without caffeine, and I think Sunday as well. And those days, well, Sunday I did nothing, and then Wednesday I was able to. I don't know if I studied Wednesday. I can't recall. But yeah, I had a pretty busy schedule this week, and I was still able to kind of force myself to do at least the bare minimum of everything I needed to get done. Other with the exception of wrapping up some projects, but I was mostly focusing on studying this week. And for me, my busy week comes to an end at Friday night, so I've just got some hours left um, of today's daytime until I get into that um, portion of my weekend. Uh, it's gonna become kind of the more restful phase of things. Resting, reflecting, learning, but not learning necessarily for work type of stuff. More so learning just for other types of personal development, as well as just in general learning as far as just trying to uh, you know um, trying to kind of under, understand things better. um, yeah, so I'm kind of sitting here, somebody parked right next to me, and then now they're kind of deciding to like change their clothes right next to me, so I'm trying not to pay attention to them, but um yeah, so that's maybe one thing. And then but yeah, that's kind of like the overarching theme of what I'm trying to manage um lately. And um I'm definitely gaining insight into the situation a little bit. uh yeah, one thing I did notice is that I've had more um I've been dreaming more this week. I don't know what that's all about, but I have been. uh I don't know why. Like, I don't really track too carefully kind of what I take and how much and all that. Like, I don't always track it. But usually at night, I'll have some combination of an edible, melatonin, and or vaping this Raw Garden. I think it's Sky Doggy. I think I'm vaping Sky Doggy indica strain. I don't really remember though. Because I got it like early April. And I don't know. Sorry about the noise. The guy's waxing his board. But yeah, that's kind of like the main experience that I can kind of explain. The sleep, the energy, the fogginess. I have not worked out this week as much as I wanted to. I might be able to get that in tonight. I don't tend to work out Friday nights, and the last times I did, it was really busy, and I did not like it at all. Like, I was like, this gym, I think the busiest it is Friday nights. So I didn't like that. I was not a fan of that. But actually, I might go to the gym tonight, just to kind of get it in, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or something like that. The day that I skipped, I think that was Tuesday or Wednesday. The day that I skipped, I guess it was Wednesday. I told myself I skipped it because Tuesday I was a little bit injured. And then I didn't want to, I felt fine Wednesday, but I didn't want to push. And then, so it was Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I felt like I didn't want to, Wednesday I felt like I didn't want to do too much. Yeah, I felt that way on Wednesday. Because I didn't really want to. I don't know. I just was feeling kind of lazier, really, and low energy. Not a lot of motivation to work out, really. So it was kind of more that, but a little bit of an excuse, because I didn't want to like aggravate anything, but I also didn't really want to make that much effort to go get out and exercise. And then yesterday, I could have exercised. I kind of sat on it, and I was, I kind of like tell myself, it's kind of like something I tell myself that isn't gonna happen, right? So like, I find myself commonly saying things like, if it gets too late or if I'm too tired, I'll just work out at home, But the issue is, I don't really want to do it, Like, there's something about, like, for me, there's a little bit about getting out of the house to do stuff. Like, I'm just a little more focused. Like, if I can just get out of, of the house to go to a place, like, to my gym, or even, like, when I'm studying and go, like, to the coffee shop or to the bookstore or to the library. Once I get to a point where I can just go to where I'm trying to go, like once I get there, I arrive there, I'm honestly usually pretty good to go, like, because once I get there, I'll at least do the minimum. Like the other day I went with my pants on, long pants, they are not for exercising. Like, I don't have good mobility with those pants. The way they're even made, it's kind of like I don't know how to describe it, but the I guess the crotch area is kind of lower than usual, probably about 4 or 5 inches low, and it kind of makes it so it's hard to kind of like if you were to stand up and do like a high knee kind of exercise or something, or like even going up like a high step, it kind of limits my mobility like that. Like it makes it so it's hard to kind of like I have to like hike up my pants along my thighs to kind of lift up my leg properly. Like they're fine for like walking or just like sitting around, but like I've worn these to like concerts and stuff too, and I like them because they have so many pockets that zip and everything. And you know, uh, I did notice that when I tried to step up in certain places, they're kind of restrictive pants. And so I was wearing those when I was studying, and then I was like, let me not go all the way back home to get my shorts. Let me go and put this on, just go. I can go to the gym in my pants. It's not a big deal. So I did like sit on the bike some, and then the like the forward facing bike, and then I did some stretching, some yoga, some lifting. But I hurt my back during a little bit of lifting, and it's like whatever, you hurt your back while you're lifting, like it's kind of like whatever. But yeah, I was a little maybe you know because I did have back pain Tuesday night. When I woke up in the middle of the night, I did have back pain. Uh, but by the time I woke up, it wasn't really there anymore. And so I was like, well, I don't know if it's healed enough. And I've had so many times during 2022 where I had issues with my back, issues with my shoulder blades in the back. And like, I am considering, during the summer kind of getting into the rock gym. And that was, for some bouldering. And that was one thing that really kind of threw me off was, the last time my friend came to town, I think it was April of 2022 or February or something. I don't remember honestly, but one of the last times she came to town, we had this plan to go to the rock gym, and I really wanted to go, but I was like I'd done a little bit of bouldering before, but this time I was injured, and also like I don't like the height. Like to me, I know it's not high up, but to me it's heights enough that I usually get a little like if there's anything that's not perfect with my body, I'm gonna worry more than usual. And so that kind of interfered. I was able to do it somewhat, like the easy ones somewhat, but I wasn't able to really try a lot of like different techniques and different holds and things that I wanted to do. But that membership is like 50 a month or something like that, which isn't a lot considering that it's like 20 a day or something. So I think it's like 50 a month. And I did buy chalk, so I was like, well, I have chalk, so I didn't want to, you know, I don't know, like I didn't want to, you know, not do it. It's something that I have been wanting to do. Like I really am into kind of like solo sports and not team sports. And so I do kind of want to get into rock climbing, and I'm considering because there's this capoeira class locally. Uh, I think they have like a meetup coming up. I might venture into it and check it out for free and then see if I actually want to join, because I do want to join, because I feel like it's something I could do without having to have like a team commitment. Like I don't know, I don't hate team sports, I'm just not into them, if that makes sense. Like I'm not like I don't know, for me it's too much pressure, it's too much stress. So I've kind of, stopped doing like soccer, basketball, stuff like that, and got more into like tennis, a little bit tennis, but not really. I don't really have many people to play with. And then um, more so like rollerblading, snowboarding, just hiking around, beach days like almost every day, like, you know, urban hikes, just all kinds of like little stuff like that. Um, and I'm able to go to the areas and like be in the area where I could do those things, but I don't always do them. So I do want to have a more active month. I would like for this month to become more active. Um, but it's just hard, I'm trying to even just deal with just the day to day. So, um, and I do notice it makes me feel better, and I do feel sharper. I think some of the fogginess does come from, lack of exercise. Um, I am in the house a lot, so I like to do things like get out, and I'm more comfortable recording podcasts kind of outside of the house. So it is nice to go to parks or the beach and places like that where I've been recording from for a while now, since like March or so. It's kind of nice to just get out and, you know, be outside, even if I'm not like outside, like I'm sitting in the car, but it's like I'm not sitting in the house. So just things like that, like, I'm definitely, continuing to work towards, what I want to do, and like I'm getting there slowly, I'm trying to have patience with the process of it all. Um, but it takes like a little bit of building up. I mean, if I think about how many years I spent kind of, I don't want to call it tearing down, but just kind of not taking care of myself, there's a lot that I'm trying to resolve. So, you know, it's not going to happen overnight. And I did have some times during April, like when I was sick, where there was a little setback there. And sometimes during, when I started looking for work and stuff like that, where I got a little distracted. And then some other times. So it's like just trying to balance all the day to day. It's not impossible. It's not the hardest thing, but it does take a lot of focus. And, you know, back to the internet use thing, like, I really don't find it too valuable for me, to sit watching videos all day. Like, it's fun, it's entertaining, it definitely takes my mind off of the things that are maybe not going perfectly well, but it also doesn't really, I don't really gain anything from it. I don't gain any like real knowledge. It's not like thought provoking. It's not like philosophically provoking. There's nothing I can really incorporate into my self-care. I'm not like really learning from a lot of the stuff I'm watching. Some of it, yeah, like the podcasts and different types of stuff that I might read or write or whatever. A lot of that stuff can be really empowering and eye-opening, but there's also a lot of it. Like, I've been watching Harlem. I like it. It's a cool show. I mean, it's nice to see like black people in a show where, it's kind of a fun story, but there's some serious aspects to it as well. But it's also um like it's entertainment at the same time. And there's nothing wrong with entertainment, I think it's fine to just kind of check out and like get entertained, but I feel like it's hard for me to really gauge, am I checking out and getting entertained because I don't want to do any other thing, and it's just a way to distract from doing what I need to do. That's what's kind of hard for me to tell. It's like, do I need the break, or is this break serving me? Do I need the break? Um, or am I having a break when I am just kind of using it to like avoid doing other stuff that I need to be doing, you know? It's like, um, and it really is a struggle because I really am still, like, I'm not fully not burnt out anymore. Like, that hasn't fully gone away. Um, but I don't feel like I'm serving myself too well by not working towards, you know, getting back into a career and that kind of thing. Um, like, I'm definitely doing work, I'm definitely doing things. My day is full, you know, and I am able to kind of, you know, determine which days I take breaks and which days I don't. And kind of like Thursday, it was hard to kind of stick to what I needed to do for May 4th, but I did it, you know, I did study, I did review, I didn't do enough of it. Like, I didn't do it as much and as thoroughly as I would have hoped. And, you know, today I did this practice exam that kind of let me know that I'm not really quite ready to even take the practice exam, but I'm almost there. Like, but I feel like ordinarily when I was studying, like way back in the day, you know, not for this stuff, but for school in general, when I was studying to kind of start working in psych, I feel like my brain worked differently then. Um, the amount of stuff that I have to learn now, it feels like it's not as hard, as challenging, as difficult. But then again, I haven't even been learning it for a year. Whereas in psych, you know, I've been learning it since I started getting interested in it during high school, during like my senior year of high school, I believe. And, majored in psych in college. And so pretty much from about 2022 or so, 2021, or sorry, not 2021, 20, from like 2001 to like 2002 or so is about when I started getting interested in the field of psychology. And that's almost like 20 something years, you know, of being like starting to learn and like learning some kind of background or something versus, you know, I only started doing what I'm doing now September of 2022, mid-September. And so, you know, definitely I don't have as deep of a background in this field as I do in psych. Um, Even on the studying end, you know, so that is one thing. It is draining to kind of learn something completely new. Like, there is some overlap, but I mean, psych has overlaps with like everything pretty much. But um, yeah, it's you know, it's definitely a challenge. I'm definitely challenging myself. I'm definitely you know, coming across a lot of learning about myself, you know, and last night I found it very impactful. Like, I was rewatching some episode of, you know, what's his face, Peter Santinello's episode that he was doing with Shlomi, this Hasidic Jewish guy. Like, they're walking around New York, and I guess this guy introduces him to one of his friends or someone he knows in the community. And this guy has a young son, and, you know, this son was talking about, you know, just something as simple as joy. Like, and just like, I don't know exactly how he worded it, but he was like, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you can say like, oh, the sun is shining, and be like, wow, like, and be like fascinated by it, and like actually like interested in, you know, nature, and like I have all my needs met, and I, you know, and some other person was saying about people who leave the community, it's like, you know, you can be happy with what you have and look at the positive things of like, I'm in a community that's focused on, family, having good relationships. I'm in a community that's focused on, you know, joy and kind of like, pleasant lifestyle, focused on worship and these types of things, and look at the good side of it versus looking at, oh, we don't have this, like we don't use the internet, we don't have like modern, lifestyles to, like, we don't, like, yeah, it's modern, like these people, a lot of them that we're talking, they're in the middle of New York, so it's not like they're living like some, it's not like, if you look at like the Amish, how a lot of them are like trying to stick to kind of like old fashioned methods of doing things, like some really old order groups of people in Amish culture, like not even having indoor plumbing or like electricity, electric wires going to their house. Like, I've seen videos where people drive around those areas and they look at some of the housing and they're like, you can tell because they don't have any power coming to their house. It might be that solar power might be acceptable for some of them, but a lot of times it's like, you know, there are people that live in those societies that don't have any kind of electricity, any kind of smartphones, don't drive a car, versus like, the Hasidic culture, they're not really um, so strict on like limiting like necessarily the technology, um, and more so just like focusing on the community and the religion and things like that, which is a different focus. Like there is like always going to be some overlapping with like, really conservative groups, but and traditional groups of people, but I would say that overall, they are trying not to expose themselves and their people to things that they feel like maybe there's not a benefit to them. Like they don't see it as beneficial, they see it more as like a negative. And so they were mentioning things like having flip phones and things like that. Or maybe for work they might use internet and things like that, but they don't really technically go to movies or have televisions in their houses or go to museums or public libraries. And I can't speak specifics because like there's so many differences between so many groups. So there are some groups that are really, really like open, and then there are other groups that are a little more kind of like isolated, and there are people who like maybe they only speak Yiddish and they only really interact with their own people, and then there are people who speak English and they're kind of like integrated more into like the mainstream culture in New York and things like that. But anyways, this guy was saying this kid and some other person, some other rabbi, I don't remember if it was the same video, but yeah, the kid was kind of mentioning like, yeah, you can look at the sun and like, because it comes out every day or whatever, and just be like, the sun is shining, and just be kind of like, okay, that's just how it is because it's a new day, but, or you can look at it and be like excited by it and kind of like motivated by it, and in awe of it, and it just kind of depends on your own perspective on how you look at things. And I kind of was thinking that through a little bit more last night, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty true. Like it's not like this toxic positivity necessarily of like, oh, like just pretend like it's good when it's not, kind of thing, and ignore all the stuff that's actually like deeply wrong, even within a person's own life, to like ignore themselves and just be like, everything's fine, everything's positive, but like when I think about like for myself, like I do think about it and I'm like, well, a lot of the things that I struggle with that I'm finding maybe not coming easily or smoothly, it's not stuff that I can't do, and it's not stuff that I don't do. It's just stuff that I got out of practice of doing it, at some part of my life, I was definitely doing these things. And at other parts of my life, I was not doing these things so much. So yeah, there were times when I was doing them, and there were other times when I was kind of like, letting the work and school and stuff get the best of me, and not really tending to the basics of what I needed to kind of be the most functional version of myself. Um, and just letting things go. And that only lasted so long. It's like I can't keep that up for too long, you know. Um, so, yeah, so that's kind of how I see it. Or just like, let's see. Um, yeah, like that's kind of how I see it. But um, it's not always like every day is a new situation, you know. But yeah, this is getting kind of lengthy, but yeah, that's pretty much what I had in mind to say for today. And so, with that, thanks for listening.